How's everybody going? It's loud. Yeah, everybody a little tired, worn out, long conference. Well, thanks for coming. Let's hope this material is useful for you. I'll do my best to make it useful and answer some questions afterwards. Oh, still some people coming in. My name's Chad Seifert. I work on the Device Foundation team in Windows Core OS. I've been doing this for a while now, and today I want to talk to you about some methods and practices we'd like you to follow or consider when building driver packages to enable distribution and great experiences for your customers. The material we're going to go over covers the design and develop phase of the device lifecycle, and we'll move a little bit into the assess and certify area as well for a discussion. Specifically today, what I'm going to go over is what a driver package is, what it contains, what an INF is, why packaging is important, how you'll go about streamlining your driver packages for Windows 8, and I'll also cover some distribution scenarios, what our recommendations are for enabling those scenarios, and how you go about developing, certifying, and getting your packages up on Windows Update or onto the customer's PC. I want to provide you with some information and recommendations to keep in mind when building your driver packages to best take advantage of Windows 8 experiences. I'm sure by now you've all heard about Metro apps and the automatic download scenarios that are enabled in Windows 8. Windows 8 provides you with an opportunity to provide great device experiences and take best advantage of these features. Taking best advantage of these features all starts with a great package, from design through deployment. Why packaging is important. It's an important part of the Windows 8 device story because it helps you make Windows 8 device experiences even better. Well-designed packages can help you deliver great Windows 8 experiences, and here's what they contain. A driver package is, and this is probably basic information for quite a few of you, but we're going to go over it anyways. Your driver package provides basic descriptions for the devices that your driver supports. It provides the version of your driver package in the driver verse section, as well as setup types and some other basic information that's needed to target your driver. The INF, which is part of the package, is the manifest for driver binaries, for file payload, and it's required to support your device and expose functionality. The most important thing the package does is it provides Windows with the instructions for configuring and enabling all supported devices. All of this information is provided in the INF. This is one of the sort of key ideas we want to talk about today is the, good things come in small packages. Compact packages will download faster. They'll come down from Woo quicker. They'll install faster. If the package contains a large payload, it'll come down slower. It'll use up more bandwidth. One of the advantages of keeping the package limited to the components that are necessary to expose device functionality is that maintenance and update will be simpler over the short and long term. And the other thing you need to keep in mind is that, there are smaller and larger form factors in the Windows ecosystem. You're never quite sure where your device is going to land, where it's going to be used, and if you provide all sorts of different larger components or services in those packages, you may find yourself not enabling great device experiences. Keep it simple. Driver packages that are simple, that rely on basic INF syntax to copy files, configure registry keys, install services, all the other things that you would want to do to enable device functionality and enable your device stack, will install much faster on Windows 8. We've done a lot of work to enable a fast configuration scenario. This also helps to reduce the complexity of the package by reducing or eliminating dependencies on components and processes not required to expose your basic device functionality. Things like applications, installers, UI, those will all lead Getting rid of those will all lead to directly improved success rates, faster install times, and a consistent user experience across all platforms. We want you to use Metro-style applications to differentiate and add value to your devices. Windows will deliver these applications automatically for you, and that'll help you keep your package lean and enable you to layer a user experience on top of your package in a way that makes sure that you get a fast configuration experience and great device functionality in Windows 8 for your customers. I'm going to shift gears here a little bit, and I'm going to focus specifically on the one component of the driver package that's very important, the INF. It's the component that tells Windows what is required to enable a device. It's where you do all the work necessary to let Windows know what to do when your device arrives. And it's the mechanism you have for ensuring and enabling a great experience by making sure device functionality is available to the user quickly and in a way that doesn't disrupt or interrupt them whenever they happen to be doing whatever they happen to be doing at the moment. An appliance-like device insertion experience that feels like turning the power on your stereo. How do you let Windows know that your driver supports a device, or a series of similar devices, or a variant of a common device model? A device with built-in Windows experiences. It's all in the INF, and getting this right requires some forethought and strategy. If you have a line of devices that all expose some similar functionality, provide a broad model, match hardware ID in the INF in the device. If you want to provide a basic inbox experience, you're going to match against a class or compatible ID. The message here is pretty straightforward. It boils down to a few keys, though. In order to outrank built-in class drivers, you should provide a hardware ID match that's as specific as it needs to be. Reserve your most specific hardware ID matches for custom or unique devices that expose very specific functionality to Windows. In order to expose generic and built-in functionality, you'll want to use compatible ID matches. I put together a little visual representation of this, stealing a page from my colleague Jim's talk the other day. You'll see that at the very beginning is sort of the most basic match, starting from a broad class match. There's a lot of cars that are mid-size and have 2 doors. We move down to a slightly more specific match. There are a large variety of Toyota Tacomas out on the market. Moving down to a slightly more specific match, we see a more scoped but still very general match, which is the Toyota Tacoma 4-door or a Toyota Tacoma V6. And then we see a much, much more specific match down at the bottom. This happens to be the car I drive, so that's motivating the example. This is a Toyota Tacoma 4-door V6. That's the most specific match. It exposes the most specific functionality, and it's the way you let the system know that this is the thing that I really want to match on. Of course, the graphic. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about targeting. The INF is also your opportunity to further target the driver package from an applicability standpoint. In line with keeping the package small, you should target specific processor-supported architectures and separate packages. Our tools make this a lot easier for you in Windows 8. We've got a lot of telemetry from the ecosystem that shows many of the issues customers face in Windows are related specifically to efforts made to target OS versions. We expend a lot of effort in Windows to maintain compatibility from OS to OS, and will continue to do so moving forward. Specifically targeting an OS version will impact various scenarios from offline image creation to Windows Update. Let us worry about the compatibility. We've done a lot of work to focus on it. Configuration, specifically the instructions that are provided in your INF to enable your device functionality and expose it to Windows. The INF describes all configuration settings for your device. There's syntax for copying files, configuring registry keys, making device settings available, and you can also specify and create services that are required to expose and support your device to the user. If you do this using simple native INF syntax, you can take advantage of the work we did in Windows 8 to enable fast device configuration. In order to do this, you'll need to avoid the use of co-installers and external installers where possible. I'll take the opportunity now to plug a Chalk Talk that's going on right after this that's going to discuss the work we did in Windows 8 and how you can take advantage of fast device configuration. Versioning and localization has always been an important scenario, and it's an important consideration to make when thinking about longer-term maintenance and update scenarios for your driver package. It's pretty easy to get this right. It can also be pretty easy to get this wrong. Make sure you use strong versioning schemes so that you know when to update and what to update on a regular basis. And on Windows 8, you can ensure straightforward targeting or straightforward targeted updates by using a consistent versioning scheme, and the Windows Update infrastructure will ensure that your driver package is delivered to systems with specific versions. As well, consider users around the world that will be using your devices and support them by providing localized device descriptions in your driver package and in your metadata. This extends to localized icons as well. We talked about this a little bit briefly earlier, but here's some more specifics on our recommendations for package payload. Some best practice recommendations regarding package payload. They're all focused on the idea of keeping the package small and simple. You want to target your driver packages at specific devices or device models. This will help you keep those packages small and compact and simplify your maintenance and update tasks later on. Again, I want to stress this, avoid installers. Take advantage of the Windows 8 work we did to enable fast configuration. This will also enable your package to function in all scenarios of interest with no additional work on your part. Provide Metro-style applications for your devices that are distributed separately from the package and automatically installed by Windows 8. Put the customer in control and make them aware that a desktop application is available for the device by using Request Additional Software. This will layer your experiences exposed to consumers on top of your driver package or on top of the device stack that you expose to Windows and ensure that the user gets the best available, fastest experience on demand all the time. You also need to use the catalog file to sign the INF and the driver files. The Visual Studio Windows Driver Kit integration makes this a much simpler process in Windows 8, and I'm pretty sure you've all seen demos or used this at this point in time, so continue to use it as a simple means of getting a driver package signed, delivered, and tested. The Develop, Certify, and Distribute section. This is sort of the second or third phase after you've started to build a package, decided what your hardware is going to be, what drivers you need to support it, and how you're going to get it out to the market. The Windows and Visual Studio teams have united to create a world-class environment with a great IDE for driver development. VS11, when combined with the driver kit, add-on package provides you with all the tools you need to design, build, and test your devices and your driver packages so you can provide great device experiences to your consumers. You may have seen a demonstration of the build, deploy, test, and debug scenario at the Kits booth over the course of the past couple of days. It's a great feature that allows you to build a driver package with F5, deploy that driver package to another system, and debug and test that driver package in scenarios that you care about on that system. At the end, I'll talk about a few of the sessions that you can attend and some talks that you can attend that will actually cover this in more detail. In addition, the Windows Hardware Certification Kit has been updated to help you deliver great customer experiences on Windows 8 and help you build devices and driver packages that will meet your customer expectations. Use these tools early. Use them often. You can drive quality upstream by testing early, by testing often, by using the kits, and by taking advantage of these tools early in the development process. We did a lot of work to enable them, and they should be much simpler. I'm thinking that taking advantage of these kits will make your lives a lot easier in general over the short and long term of your driver development. Um, Deployment. So when you're considering distribution and deployment of your driver packages, you need to consider and plan for all of the different ways that your driver packages can be provisioned to a Windows system. By keeping your packages small, keeping them simple, and avoiding complex installers, you can ensure that your driver packages will work in all of the various scenarios that you want to enable for your end users and for your customers. By provisioning automatically downloadable Metro apps and installing those applications, you will enable your driver packages to work across all of the scenarios above, and you won't have to do anything else. So, a Windows Update install is enabled automatically by first device insertion on a connected PC. An application could call setup copy OEM-INF to deploy a package. An OEM will inject a driver package into an image offline like we do during our build phases. IT can deploy with no interactive user on the desktop. You can deploy to managed desktops where there's only limited users. You can also take advantage of unattended setup and ensure that your drivers are configured and ready to use as soon as the system's up and running. Your packages will also work well in OS upgrade and migration scenarios if you follow these simple recommendations and best practices. You want to take advantage of Windows Update when you're doing driver package for your deployment scenarios. We have built an extensive system that provides bandwidth and deployment infrastructure globally for your packages and enables your devices to work very quickly on the first insertion on any Windows or Windows 8 system. New PC form factors also make it more challenging to distribute drivers on traditional media. But if you keep your packages small and follow some of the guidance here, your packages can be downloaded simply with minimal bandwidth requirements. You can also use Windows 8 to target and fix specific driver versions that have problems and ensure that those drivers are delivered to customers who need them. These updates will happen automatically and be pushed out to the user over the network when they're actually logged on or when their security updates are pulled down. So you should leverage our bandwidth and deployment infrastructure to distribute the newest, most specific driver to your customers around the world quickly and easily. This has been a really quick overview of the driver package recommendations and best practices. To wrap up, I want to let you know that you should be building self-describing driver packages that are compact, certified, and available on Windows Update, that they'll be automatically provisioned and enable fast and reliable installation. Use the kits. Use the Windows Development Kit and the Hardware Certification Kit throughout your development efforts. Use them early, use them often. They'll help you find bugs in deployment scenarios. They'll help you find bugs in your drivers, in the functionality exposed by your drivers, or in the functionality that you expose to Windows. Layer experiences on top of driver-exposed device functionality by providing Metro-style apps for your devices that will be delivered and updated automatically by Windows and Windows 8. If that's not possible, use Request Additional Software to expose desktop experiences to users in a way that allows them to make the decision about whether they want that software. If the user never goes to the desktop, they're not going to want the application and services that your driver package may payload with it, consuming resources and space on their system. Some related sessions that you should consider attending. Design considerations for your devices and drivers was yesterday. I see some familiar faces from that session. Delivering great device installation experiences, a Chalk Talk immediately following this. That Chalk Talk will dive into the specifics of how we enable device configuration in Windows 8 and how you can take advantage of it to enable really quick, great device installation experiences for your users. Modern driver development using Visual Studio is another talk. It talks about the Windows Driver Kit, how it integrates with VS 11, and how you can use it to build, test, and certify your driver packages on Windows 8. There's a couple of talks about the Windows Hardware Certification Kit. I'm pretty sure those are this afternoon, so you should still have an opportunity to attend those. This will talk about what the kit is, how it works, how you can use it, as well as showing you how to leverage it to test and validate your driver packages early so that your certification process is just a simple sort of button click at the very end of your development and your design and development scenario, or design and development stage of your driver package deployment. Some additional reading and resources. There's a bunch of available tools for signing drivers. Those tools are available in the Windows Development Kit, or the Windows Device Development Kit. There's some tools available in Visual Studio and the Windows Driver Kit as well for building and testing device metadata packages. There's also the Windows Hardware Center dashboard, and the certification requirements preview is an interesting thing to go and review and provide feedback and commentary on. I've whipped through this really quickly, so we actually have quite a bit of time for questions. If anybody has any, I'd be happy to answer them. Yeah? Pardon? Oh, yeah, I can do that. Request additional software is an INF directive that you can put in the top of the INF, and you can use it to target specific devices or all devices exposed by that INF. It allows you to let Windows know to let the user know that there's software that may or may not be required to make the device work. That notification takes advantage of the Windows error reporting system and will notify the user that there's some software that you may want on the desktop. From there, you can provide a solution through the Windows error reporting system that can redirect the user to your website so that you can they can download and install the application that enables device functionality or device management that you might want to expose to them. Is that? Pardon? Why is the notification? How is the notification done? So what will happen is the driver installation system will generate a Windows error report that says that a particular driver or device requests that additional software be provided or be enabled for a particular device that's installed on a system. That is sent up through our Windows error reporting system, and you can then go to that Windows error reporting system through the Windows portal, the WinQual portal, and register a solution for a particular error report, and then Windows will provide that solution to the customer. Does that answer your question? Not really? Yeah, so you're curious how the user sees the notification. So what will happen is the notification will be in the Action Center in the bottom right-hand corner of the desktop. The Action Center will indicate that a user action is required, and they can click on it and then use that to discover the solution. We'll never see this, which is sort of part of the point. If you never go to the desktop, you're not going to need your desktop software at all. Driver update. So the question, everybody heard that question? It's about how the update is provisioned to the customer if they already have a driver installed on their device. The way this will work is you'll push your driver up to Windows Update, and if you're targeting specific versions and using that targeting to correct a bug, Windows Update will mark that driver as critical and then make it available to the user during their next security update or whenever they happen to hit Windows Update to request to see whether or not drivers or updates are available. If you are just putting that driver update up there as a standard update, it will be shown as a recommended option in the Windows Update console, and the user can choose at that point in time to click on it or download it and install it. Yep. Either. Yep. Or it's a recommended or optional update. And the critical updates are, that's where you're going to want to use the specific driver version targeting scheme that'll allow you to say, there's a driver version out of the ecosystem that I want to provide a fix for. It's this version, and I want you to update all customers' PCs with that driver version on it for me. And that'll just be done for you through part of the standard Windows Update. Yes, in that scenario, yes, it will. No problems. Yes? It's the request additional software. And it's put, what section is it put in again? It's put in the control flag section. It allows you, it had the syntax, I don't have an example handy. I know Jim had one in his slides yesterday. It'll allow you to specify either all hardware exposed by this driver package or specific hardware ID versions. Yep, it's also available in Windows 7. We're with the advent of the new desktop and users hopefully spending more and more time in that desktop and using Metro-style applications for the devices, we're recommending that we push the download and installation of desktop-specific software management apps into a separate process that doesn't come down with the driver package so that you can keep your packages small and compact and enable those device-related desktop application experiences as necessary or as the user deems them to be necessary. Yes. You may not necessarily need this functionality at all. If you provide a Metro-style app for your device, that should be good. That should be enough for the user to use your device and should be enough to expose a really good experience to them. Yes, microphone. Yep. So the question was, I'm not actually sure the answer to that. I suspect there may be a way to do it, but yeah. So yeah, the Action Center won't pop a toast up in a user's face or anything like that. So if the user's spending the bulk of their time in the new desktop, they'll never actually see this. But what you're hoping to avoid is the populating a bunch of solutions or a bunch of problems in Action Center that somebody may not want to deploy. Yeah, and if the user does go to the desktop, that would be required. If they never do, it wouldn't be. Does that answer your question at all, or would you? I mean, we can talk about it. Let's talk about it a little more. Come on up and talk to me afterwards. We'll talk about it.
Update, when it automatically installs update, does it take into account the underlying networking technology? So it will not do it on 3G, for example.
Windows Update does scale across all of the different networking technologies and will respect bandwidth restrictions that have been applied to a particular network connection.
So can user disable, for example, automatic update on 3G networks?
I'm not 100% certain, but I believe that a user can specify that updates are not actually applied when they're roaming, for instance, or on a 3G network. I can go and get a very specific answer to that question if you come up later and leave me with a card.
And the second question is, there is a new functionality in Win8 that resets the computer into its initial state. The question is where it also uninstalls drivers updates or drivers actually stay in.
So you're talking about the Windows RE rollback functionality?
It's not a roll. I don't remember how it's called. There is such even on our
the
devices.
Windows Restore functionality that restores
so
it back to a specific
you can
state.
restore it to OEM supplied one.
Yeah, so I'm not 100% certain about the answer for that, but if you come up later on, Jim or Adam or myself can probably answer that question more specifically.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Windows 8 fast configuration is we'll talk about it a little bit more later on in this Chalk Talk that I recommend that you want to attend, but what it'll do is it'll enable near instantaneous configuration of a device that fits within a certain set of recommendations and best practices that we require in order to enable this really quick configuration scenario. So the idea would be that, plugging in a thumb drive is instantly available, or plugging in, there was actually an example blogged about a couple of days ago at the beginning of the conference where somebody plugged in an Android phone and their SD storage immediately was available for access, rather than waiting for Windows to go search through the driver store, go search Windows Update, possibly go search other places that an admin has specified drivers would exist. Windows will just make that device available immediately to the user so that they can go and browse storage or access media on that storage. Yep. Can you have a one-to-many relationship between driver and Metro-style apps? I believe that's possible because the Metro-style apps are tied to, the hardware IDs that are exposed by your device through the metadata. So the metadata is what actually will provision and enable a Metro-style application to be downloaded and automatically provided for a device that you plug in. Yes? Mm-hmm. So there's support in the INF file for writing friendly names out. That's actually provided as a standard INF syntax that you can provision a friendly name for a given device. And if you match hardware IDs from sort of most generic to most specific, you'll be able to customize those device descriptions and localize them as well. With regards to other functionality, like I said, avoiding the use of co-installers is what we're recommending for now. But if you have some specific actions that you require in order to enable your device stack, I'd love to hear what they are so we can consider doing something about them in the future. So we've done the work in Windows 8 to ensure that if you provide a WDF co-installer in order to enable Windows 7 or Vista functionality of your device, in Windows 8 we will actually enable that driver in a fast configuration fashion if you only include the WDF co-installer. We've incorporated all of the WDF co-installer specific functionality into the driver package installation system. If you want to come up and chat with me a little bit later on, we can talk about specifics. And so the question is there any way for the request additional software process to detect that the software has already been made available on the system or already been provisioned? And Jim can answer that question because he's nodding his head and putting his hand up. And so that would actually answer the sort of the previous question that was brought up about pre-staging a number of driver packages into an image for corporate deployment and not wanting those solutions to appear. You could, as part of that pre-staging operation, set those registry keys or provide that application software in the system. Yep. Yeah, there is actually a group policy setting in the device installation area that will allow you to suppress those request additional software error reports. Yes? So you're asking about whether or not Windows Update can make available to customers installation software that installs your drivers? So your existing installation mechanisms will continue to work in Windows 8. Windows Update still will not distribute software in the form of an executable to a customer that they have to run. And there are some requirements around distributing applications with a driver package that are related to Windows 8. You can read about those in the hardware kit. What we're recommending is that you take your driver package and provision it in an as-is, ready-to-install on a Windows platform system or way, so that you can put the driver up on Windows Update, so that an OEM can inject the driver into an image prior to deployment, so that a corporate IT person can put the driver into an image prior to deployment. And then you leverage the request additional software systems and the MetroStyle app automatic downloading system to provision and differentiate your device offering to your customers, whether those be IT customers or an end user. Yep. Yeah, you'll still need to sign and certify your driver regardless of how you go about deploying that driver, even if that deployment story is browsing to your website, downloading an MSI, and then running that MSI to deploy the driver on a local system. We're recommending that you use Windows Update and that you not use that system, but if that's the system you have in place, it will continue to work and you will be required to certify and sign your driver in order for it to deploy on a Windows 8 platform. All right? Yep. Windows 8 will still support every device installation, every bit of device installation functionality that you've grown to know and love. If you use a co-installer, you can't take advantage of the fast device configuration, which is something that we're recommending that everybody try and move towards because it's quicker, it's more reliable, and it's more robust. We've got data coming in over our telemetry systems that indicates that on average we see around 10,000 device installation related crashes that can be tied back to co-installers on a daily basis. We'd like to reduce that number. We'd like to push the reliability and the expectations of the device installation system up for consumers so that when they first plug in their devices, that's not the plug and pray phenomenon that a lot of people tend to talk about, that it actually truly is an appliance-like insertion experience. It happens quickly, it happens automatically, and it happens all the time. Any more questions? Yes?
I don't think it covers, but
There is a build system available in the kit that will allow you to build and deploy a driver package using Visual Studio and the VS IDE and the Windows Driver Kit add-on. In terms of packaging syntax, nothing's changed. We did not want to change the syntax because all of you have spent so many years developing expertise in how to build a driver package using an INF. What we've tried to do is make it considerably easier by making tools available in the kit that you can leverage to build these things in a simpler way. Any other questions? Yes? No. The Diffex is being supported but is not actively being developed. Any other questions? Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I kind of am. Yes. And in that case, if you're not going to distribute over Windows Update and you're not going to make your package installation available, you can take advantage of an inbox tool called PMP Util to stage and install the driver package. Or you can continue to distribute the installation in a separate install executable, recognizing, of course, that the user will be required to browse to the web, browse to your company's website, download and install the package in the desktop, and that kind of experience is not really the instant-on, always functional experience we'd like people to have. I recognize that it's not always possible to do that. So, PMP Util is just a little command line utility that's provided in Inbox that will allow somebody to, you can either run a command script or a batch script that will add and install that driver on matching hardware on the system. Yep. Does that answer your question? Kind of. Yeah, I got one more back here, and then I'll come back to you.
Will our applications or drivers be by default filtered by Windows Server, or will Windows Update Server process?
Will
Windows Update Server?
What about it?
Will our optional drivers and software by default be sent through those, or will that be filtered by default and customer has to turn it on?
No, Windows, if you're providing additional software out of the gate and the user is enabling updates by default, which is the recommended path through the update experience, and is, I believe, the way a lot of OEMs are actually shipping their systems already, the drivers will be, made available to every customer that happens to have Windows Update enabled, and it will be made available to every customer that ever goes to the Windows Update console. Your additional software that comes down through your additional MOSH or modern shell, or your modern device applications, they'll be pulled down automatically through a similar infrastructure on the arrival and presentation of metadata. Does that answer? You can come up and talk later on if I didn't get that specifically. Yeah. Yes. Yep.
When we pass all these menus, everything to then how can we know when my update will activate, when Microsoft Server Cloud is going to deploy my update? Will we get any notification or anything?
There will be telemetry. There is telemetry that is available. I'm not sure if it's made available to our partners that will tell us when and how many updates have been sent out to users. In terms of when your driver will be updated, in general, if it's a version-specific update, i.e. you're saying there's this version out in the ecosystem that I want this driver to update, those updates will land on a customer's system and fix any issues or provide additional functionality as part of a standard scan for security updates. So if you're providing a fix to an existing driver in the ecosystem, then it'll happen assuming somebody has the AU functionality enabled on their device, which most customers do. It'll happen whenever that security scan happens, maybe at 3 a.m. in the morning for them, so the next day it'll be available for them. In terms of figuring out what the saturation in the market is, in terms of figuring out how many users that driver has landed on, I don't honestly know the answer to that question, but I can get somebody to, answer it for me and get back to you on that.
I don't think at least from my experience, I don't think I got notification from Apple say, hey, your update is going to deploy to the customer or anyone.
It's something we should talk about after the session, and I'll get your email address and I'll look into it for you. Yeah. Yes. Does Microsoft? No, MetroStyle apps do not provide you with any infrastructure to install a driver package. No. Yep. Yes.
Is the MetroStyle application must be downloaded from the application store, or we can build an installation package and include both driver and the MetroStyle application together and provide to the OEM?
I believe we are requiring that MetroStyle applications be downloaded and installed from the store.
Is it a must-have or is it just?
I think it is a must-happen, although I'm not 100%. Can you come up and talk to me later? I'm not 100% certain on this, but possibly Cameron or Adam may be able to help me answer that question more specifically. Any other questions? Yep.
Didn't you just say in a corporate sense, in a corporate install and a tentative install, you could install MetroStyle apps? And doesn't that conflict with downloading?
No, in a corporate installation scenario, you could, you can install applications on an image prior to deployment, but that's legacy desktop applications. I believe there may be a system, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe there may be a system to pre-provision MetroStyle applications into a central store that's made available for all consumers on a local system. But again, don't take my word on that. I'll have to look that one up and get back to you guys on that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Yeah.
If I have a bunch of INF files based on different configuration for a device, how can I control the installation sequence and timing?
If you have a bunch of INFs that are matching a large selection of different devices,
yes,
you want to be able to control the sequence and timing of the installations. Unfortunately, the only way to continue to do that is through an application installer. Even co-installers won't really allow you to control the order of operations for a driver package install, because device enumeration is the ordering of device enumeration is not a guaranteed order. So devices may be enumerated in different orders, and drivers may be made available and installed on those devices in entirely different orders. So in order to manage the ordering of installation of drivers on a set of devices, you would need to use a piece of software to manage that.
Yes, you mentioned a software to control. However, you just answered another question about if the control application in MetroStyle must be downloaded from the App Store. That could be a problem if end user cannot connect to the internet or some bad situation more than this, then this driver will install failed.
Yeah, I think the solution to that problem is to make your drivers available on Windows Update, and expect that users will already be connected to the internet before they ever need to actually experience that. Now, if you really do need to control the order of operations for install, you're going to have to continue to distribute a software installation package through your whatever distribution channels you already have. And that software executable will install drivers on specific devices in a specific order. I would kind of like to understand why you think that's necessary, and maybe talk about whether or not it is actually a requirement for you.
So it may lead another problem, because if I pack all the configurations, it will make this driver too big, it will no longer lean. That would be another problem, right?
Pardon?
I mean, if I package this driver with all the configuration and the control software, then this driver may be too big.
No, well, you could provide the drivers in different driver packages. So you could provide different configurations in different packages, which is actually one of the recommendations I made, to sort of provision support for a given device in a given package and only in that given package. I'm not 100% certain about the point you're driving at, so if you want to come up and chat with Jim and Cameron or I later on, we can try and answer your question. All right?
Okay.
Anybody else? Excellent. Thank you very much for coming to Build, and I hope you enjoyed it.